Oh, hello, Richy.
Oh, hello, Jeremy.
How are you?
I am fantastic. How are you?
I'm great. We just had such an awesome jam session right before this, just catching up, getting to know each other better. We've been on a number of different Zooms together. We've messaged back and forth, but really getting to know you and spending this time over the past hour has been fantastic. You are a legend within the advertising, media, and ad tech, MarTech, SaaS ecosystem. So I have the pleasure of knowing who you are. Why don't you tell our OhHello audience, our listeners, our viewers, who the hell am I talking to? Who are you?
Well, I appreciate it. Thank you. That's very flattering. I like to, when I talk to people outside of our industry who don't know what we do, they ask who I am and what I do. And I say I'm a PIP, a previously important person. Uh, I'm running my seventh startup. I've done three inside big media companies and four out. But I would argue that I'm the luckiest human being, and I've had one of the coolest careers that any human being could ever have. And I'm incredibly grateful for the mentors I've had and the lucky breaks I've had, because it is, no matter how smart you are, it's right place, right time, and people believing in you. I started as a kid at MTV Networks in 1985. Yeah, I'm old as dirt. I did every live show from Live Aid until Amnesty International. Got to do the pilots of Yo MTV Raps,
Love
first
this.
spring breaks. I mean, it was amazing. So, and then I begged Bob Pittman and Tom Freston to get into the sales side. And they're like, wait, you've got the greatest job of all. You're doing every live show, T-shirts, you're running around the world. I said, but I wanted to be on the business side. And there was a guy named Harvey Gano who was running sales for Nickelodeon. And there was a great leader, Geraldine Laybourne, who ran Nickelodeon. And they believed in me, and they gave a kid out of production when back then in television, because it wasn't internet, it was all television. They were only hiring people from media rep firms. And I was the first person they ever hired internally. And I got a break, and I sold all the MTV networks for a bunch of years. And then I got hired by a bunch of great people at Turner Broadcasting. And 5 years in, uh, long story interminable, I got called into a conference room by my mentor, the president of sales, a guy named Rick Servitis, with Ted Turner, a guy named Harry Matro, Scott Wolfel, Jimmy and Mark Bernstein. And they said, we're going to start a website on the internet, January of 1995, and you guys are going to do it. And I'm like, what's the internet? And I'm like, figure it out. And the five of us, Harry was the M&A guy, Scott was from the news desk, Jimmy and Mark were down in Atlanta, and I was a kid in New York. And frankly, half the senior management of sales said, you're throwing away your career. And my attitude is, if Ted Turner tells you to do something, you say, how high can I jump? And I call that my entrepreneur mentorship, right? So for a year, all five of us had to have a different job inside of Turner, and we had to start CNN.com January of 95. We had to get it launched by August 31st of 95. And we all did two jobs, and we learned how to do it. It was awesome. Launched it, ran it around the world, got to hire some great people, got to work with some incredible people. And then, because I grew up in the cable world, there was something called the Cable Advertising Bureau, and I was trained in the fight of cable versus broadcast. Why cable versus broadcast? So about 30 people met outside of Halsey Minor's office in sometime in 1996. I forget the month. And then 8 of us founded the IAB with a bunch of other support. So Rich LaFergie from Starwave was the chairman. I was the vice chairman from CNN. We ran it as a volunteer organization until we hired our first professional outsider. I think that was 2000, 2001. And then, obviously the IAB has grown, where Randall Rothenberg did great things. David Cohen's now running it. But we all did it as our volunteer job. And Rich and I, we did the first standard 8 standard banner sizes. We did the T's and C's. We did all kinds of stuff for the industry. And then, all my friends were doing startups, and I was at Turner Broadcasting, and I had an idea, and I was brave enough to quit. And with some great help from some people in the industry, John Danner from Net Gravity and a whole bunch of other people, I founded the first rep firm, digital premium rep firm called Phase 2 Media, built it up from 99 to 2001, filed to go public 2000, the world dropped out, got wiped out. had some family issues with a young kid, and I went for safety, but I went for startup in safety. And a guy named Jeff Shell, who was CEO of News Corp's Cable, hired me to. They had bought something called Speed Vision for a lot of money. I had to start a sales team, biz dev, start the internet, did that. Then did another turnaround for News Corp under Jeff for Gemstar TV Guide under Rich Batista, who ran Time Inc., and Ryan O'Hara, and some great mentors. And then stepped off, did a startup in the West Coast for a year and a half that didn't really work in the healthcare internet space. Helped a great entrepreneur, Eric Littman, and founder in Japer Fisher Gotham pivot and turn around Medialets and sell it successfully to WPP. And then I came out of there and I said, what do I want to do? So this is really my seventh startup, 3 inside big media companies, 4 out. This is my second one all on my own. And I had an idea in 2018 that GDPR was really a response to the 15 years of programmatic for getting the consumer. So I built a legal privacy compliance platform. I know I'm insane. Selling to no one I have any contact with because it's bought by general counsels, not media people. So that's what I've done. And then the only other thing I'll mention is when I left Turner and started Phase 2 Media, some of my older sisters faced breast cancer, and we went through that as a family. And I got some great help from a woman named Dr. Marisa Weiss, who wrote the book Live Me on Breast Cancer. And when my sister made it around the curve and survived, nice. She came to me in 99, 2000 and said, hey, you're the .com guy. I wrote this book. And I helped found breastcancer.org, which we launched in 2000. I was on the board for the last 22 years. We're the largest informational site for women in the world. We served 23 million women last year. So for my OhHello, my charity will be breastcancer.org, and I'll donate everything to breastcancer.org. We run the whole site for about $5 million a year, serve 23 million women. We ran a bowl-a-thon with everybody in the ad industry for 10 years in the city before the pandemic. So like I said, I have had the coolest, most amazing career that any human being could have. I've been a publisher, a network guy, a agency person, an ad tech person. I've just been incredibly lucky because I've had amazing mentors and amazing people who have believed in me and helped me throughout my career.